hearing. These are Dorset buttons. And I took a class from this lady, and she's from England. Actually, she's from Dorset. And I'm going to invite her to speak to one of our guild meetings and talk about the Dorset buttons. I knew of Dorset buttons. I've actually made them before because Charles taught a class for us on Dorset buttons. But I didn't realize, you know, they are the first buttons, period.
Yeah.
These were the original buttons. And they were made in Dorset, and they used the sheep horns. They cut the rings, made the rings. So the little rings that you use to make the outside of the button were sheep horns, and then they would smooth them so they weren't sharp. And then they used wool to make the buttons, and they were the original buttons. Before that, people used other methods of closing, like clasps or tying things or lacing back and forth. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I didn't know that. So I'm going to invite her probably sometime in the fall to do a presentation on the Dorset buttons. I think it'll be fun. So that class was really cool. Got to see lots of people I hadn't seen for a while, which was really fun. There are quite a few vendors that I would say probably have gone out of business, you know, sadly, but new ones will spring up or people will get back into it, you know, and some people, I think, the opportunity to retire. And there will be new people coming up, I'm sure. And next year it will be better. They are going to have stitches in Pasadena, and they gave the dates. Let me look up the dates. I can tell you the dates. And you know that the horrible shooting that they had in like right by the hotel we were staying in, right around the corner. But we weren't there, of course. The hotel was lovely. Okay, Stitches SoCal will be in Pasadena on the dates are going to be
They're November, aren't they?
it's November. November. I'm looking for the date. It concludes on the 10th through the 13th. Excuse me, 10th through the 13th of November. So you can put those dates on your calendar.
For this November, Suzanne?
This coming November, yes.
Thank you for letting me know.
Okay, so let me go back to full screen. Sue, who's on here? Verida, Vicky, Cindy, Nancy Rousseau, Brenda, Amanda, Renee, Judy, Debbie. Good morning, Debbie.
Morning.
Yay. So anybody doing anything exciting? Debbie, didn't you just go on a trip?
Yeah, I just went on a trip to Texas. Found a real cute little local yarn store in Longview. That's called, and I thought the name was so appropriate for Texas. It was called Stitches in Stuff.
Stitches
in Stuff. And she has, this lady actually has an Etsy site. Real sweet gal. She used to design for crocheting for Annie's Attic.
Oh, cool.
And she had some beautiful yarns. I got some alpaca silk mix, a couple of skeins of that I'll figure out something to make out of it. And then I'm leaving Thursday to go to England.
Wow. You're a traveling lady.
I'm a traveling fool. I will be home for the entire month of May, but that's about it.
Well, that's a good month.
Yeah.
Were you like that too, Debbie, when you were younger? Did you like to travel a lot?
I like going and seeing new things and seeing things I've read about and that kind of stuff. What's going to be fun is this time we're going to be in Scotland again, and we are going to go to Culloden again. And this time I'll know what Culloden is. So I figure better take a lot of Kleenex and stuff, because I'll walk around. Of course, I'll look for Clan Fraser and Clan Mackenzie and all of those from Outlander.
How fun.
But yeah, it's going to be fun. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to is going to Liverpool and doing the whole Beatles thing, because I've been a Beatles fan since I was 10. So that's going to be fun too. That's another highlight that I'm looking forward to.
Who remembers the first time they heard a Beatles song?
Oh, yes. Ed Sullivan, February 9th, 1964.
Wow. I think the first one I heard was either I Want to Hold Your Hand or what was the other one? They were two sides of it.
I saw her standing there.
Yeah. They were flip sides of the same little, remember records that came like this?
The 45s.
Yeah, 45s. You had one song on each side. I was a knitter back then.
Wow.
I saw that, and I actually did get to see them in concert when I
Me
was
too.
11.
When did you see them?
August 23rd, 1964.
Wow. I saw them August 13th, 1966. I was 10.
I was 11 when I saw
There you
them.
go. I won 2 tickets in a contest.
Wow.
I know. It was for Cunningham's drugstore, and they were auctioning off 2. Well, they weren't auctioning. They were the winner of their contest got 2 tickets to see the Beatles, and my entry was that I love Cunningham's drugstore because I always got my allowance worth.
That's cute.
That's a great slogan.
Well, and there you go. And I was 10, and I took the girl across the street who was 11. And my brave mother drove us down to Olympus Stadium in Detroit. And we're 10 and 11. She let us loose into this massive crowd. And I have photos from it, little
Wow.
bright snapshots. And all you can hear is this wall of screaming. And you can see like the bright foreground of the Polaroid photo. And everybody was dressed in their 60s finery. And it was so much fun.
Right.
And it was when they would do a rock and roll show, because we saw Bill Black Combo and Jackie DeShannon and the Righteous Brothers and Candy Johnson and the Exciters and all these other people before the Beatles came out.
Right, they had a whole show. Well, they opened with Red Rubber Ball by the Circle, and then there were others, exactly. And they opened with I Feel Fine. You just hear that fuzz guitar opening, and then it just erupted in screams. It was really exciting.
Wow.
Oh yeah, my sister was 13 and I was 11.
Wow.
And my parents took us, we were at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
And they took it and we went in. My parents were outside. They heard the concert probably better than we did because they were waiting for us outside.
Yeah, I believe it. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good times.
Yeah. Good morning, Marion. Good morning, Lisa, Charlene.
Morning.
Pam. Good morning.
Good morning.
Berquist, Brenda, Renee. Yay.
Morning.
Well, I saw Jim Morrison in person. I partied with Jim Morrison and they videoed the whole thing, and you can actually rent the video, and I'm on it.
Oh my God.
That's my 15 minutes of fame.
Video. Tell us the name of the video.
It's called The Doors, and it's not the one where they have actors doing it. It's The Doors. They like to video about their concerts and the venues and stuff that they were in and the surroundings. And they put this compilation of video clips together, and it's called The Doors. It was a VHS video. The way that I didn't know, I remembered them recording at the time because one guy had one of those great big huge movie recorder things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was up at the river in the Kern Canyon at a place we used to go to party. And one of my friends ran into them at a pizza place. One of their guys in their band was ordering a bunch of pizza and asked my friend if he knew somewhere to party. And he said, yes, and told him about our party place. And guess we were all up there already. And my friend comes down the path from the road and he said, guess who I brought? And we go, who? And he goes, the Doors. And we go, bullshit. And guess who came down the path? The whole band, Jim Morrison, his girlfriend. You know, have you ever seen that little video clip of his girlfriend in the river? And she's nude and she's trying to get out and he won't give her a towel or anything. And she keeps staying in the water. That's where that happened. Yep. Anyway, okay, so it's 9:14. We're going to start the official meeting now. And this is being recorded. So a couple of things are happening. One, we have started meeting socially on Mondays and Fridays at the Paneras on California Avenue at 11 o'clock. A small group of people have been showing up. Everyone is welcome to join us if you feel comfortable. And I've been watching COVID numbers. You know, now the county is only reporting them on Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of Monday through Friday. And our numbers are still staying down. If they start ticking back up again, then we'll start considering being more cautious. But right now, the numbers over a 3 or 4 day period are 100 or like 114. And that's very, very reasonable. It's not the numbers that we had this time last year. This time last year, or in June or July, we were getting like 10, 12, 14 cases a day. But still, it's way down. So we're moving forward with caution.
Right now as well, there's only 3 people in our hospital with COVID.
Yeah, that's
Which is
awesome.
fantastic.
That is people are still dying though, but those are the people that have been sick for a long time on ventilators and stuff like that. So there's the deaths they report are still high, like 10, 12 at a time. So, but those people were sick from the last wave. Anyway, so, and we're thinking about having a meetup in the evening. We're open for suggestions for the people who work. If you would like to meet in the evening, send me an email and tell me what evening works best for you, or maybe we'll do a poll, you know, because we want to pick a time that works, you know, for people. So that's happening. We were going to try to get this guild meeting live, but the forces were against us and it didn't happen. So we're going to go for that for next month. I really need someone or some people. I know Hilda's husband's willing to help, and Jackie Ingstron's going to be our contact person for the room, but I really need 1 or 2 more people to step up and help with this transition. I did send that out in the email and no one replied about helping. So I'm gonna be cold-hearted. I'm gonna say if nobody steps up to help, it might not happen, because it actually takes work to make it happen. It doesn't just magically happen. So if you have AV experience or you just want to participate and you think you can help us out, please let me know. And I'm going to be moving out of state probably sometime in June. So I won't be physically here after that point. I'll still connect via Zoom and electronically and all of that, but I won't physically be able to like go down and help set up the room and stuff like that. So I really need volunteers. If you're interested, send me an email. Okay. This meeting is being recorded and it will be put on YouTube. It will only be available to the guild members. I'll send the link out. The meeting last month, which was awesome, was also recorded, but I accidentally deleted it before it was finished uploading to YouTube, and it messed it up, and then it was irretrievable. I'm sorry about that. I'll be more careful this time. So that's the live meeting situation. And the library, the Southwest Library, has started being open more days, but they're not open on Saturdays yet. As soon as they start opening on Saturday, we will start booking a a Saturday for Social Knitting Saturday to do that live. Judy, your hand is up.
Well, I have a suggestion. If you're, why don't you do a poll, one for the evening meetup, and then add to that who would be available on Saturdays? Because it may be, people may just not be hearing this or seeing your email right now that is necessary. But that would go out to everybody. That would be a blast.
That's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you. Good idea. Then also we have Worldwide Knit and Public Day coming up for our June Guild meeting. Let's see what day that is. I think it might be June 11th. Let me just double check. June 11th is going to be Worldwide Knit and Public Day. We have contacted the marketplace company that manages that area, and we can use, we're setting that up. Our insurance covers us there. That's what we really need, is to show them that we have proof of liability insurance, which we do. So we're going to still plan on meeting there. Now, Cindy, that brings up that's election day. Okay, that's the day we vote, we tally the votes. We tally the votes on June 11th for the next group of board members. And Cindy has already sent out the list of people that you can nominate. Those are not people that you're voting for. That's who you're nominating to be on the ballot. And then at our next meeting, at our May meeting, on that day or near that day, we will email out the ballot, and you will vote for the board members for the next year, which starts after the June Guild meeting. So that's what's happening with that. I think quite a few people have been nominated. Cindy, can you speak to the nominations?
Yes, last time I looked, we had about 20 people had done their nominations, so there's a lot more to get done. So if you haven't gone to that link and chosen your 7 people you want to nominate, or if you didn't get the link, let me know.
Maybe you can send it out again, Cindy.
Yeah, I can resend it. It's a lot to resend it again to everybody, but if you haven't voted and you haven't seen it yet, let me know. I know, I guess Renee didn't get hers, so I sent it out to her. Did you get it again or not, Renee? Because I resent it.
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
did get it. And I
Yeah,
sent it
so-
back to you already.
Oh, okay. Well, sounds good. So what's going to happen is I'm going to leave the nominations open until about May 1st. And then after that, I contact everyone that's been nominated to find out if they want to be included on the ballot. And once that's done, I get the ballot put together, and then I'll send everybody a new link to start voting. And then we'll tally up those votes and announce it on Worldwide Knit and Public Day.
Very cool. Now, so look for that link that you got it, and you can just search in your email, search for Cindy McBride, because it came from her, if you pull it up, because it may have dropped down in your email list. Amanda, would you like to speak about book club? Oh, there she goes.
I'm here. Sorry. I was eating breakfast.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So we are still meeting online for book club. That's every Wednesday night on Zoom at 7 p.m. This month, we are reading Cat Among the Pigeons by Agatha Christie. We just started that last week, so if you want to join us, there's still plenty of time to catch up. It's not a really heavy read, and we discuss about a quarter of the book every time we meet. I don't have a suggested knitting pattern for this month, but people always bring along their knitting, or they listen to the audiobook and knit while they listen. So that's a lot of fun. And then for the next month, we're going to be reading Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. That's actually a more recent publication. It's a very popular bestseller right now. And I'm going to suggest that people knit Boo Knit's Cuckoo Waltz shawl while we make that one. It's got a really pretty lace section, but then a lot of it's garter stitch. So it's kind of a balance between a little bit of a challenge and then some easier work to make up for it.
Very good. And I highly recommend book club. I do, you know, I think that it's a relaxing, enjoyable time to connect with your friends. And I love listening to Amanda's voice. She has the best voice, so it's very calming. Claire's not here to talk about our library, but we do have coming up for the next election cycle, and you can start thinking about it now. Claire wants to pass the membership chairperson job on to someone else. So if you're interested in participating in keeping track of the membership, let me know. I think Debbie, were you interested in passing on the the treasurer job as well?
Yes, I am.
And so you can contact me or Debbie about that. It's not a difficult job, but you do sort of have to stay on top of it. Our guild we have a timeline that we created way back in the beginning, and we have updated it over the years as things happen. So we actually have a calendar of events to run the guild, and when you need to do what. And that is very helpful for the treasurer because we have guild membership dues, but then we also have to pay for our insurance every year, and we have different payments that we have to make that are in the guild is involved in. So the treasurer is responsible for that. The treasurer works in close connection to the membership person. When we do the membership drive, they need to be able to communicate back and forth because the membership person does not keep track of the dues. They keep track of the membership. The treasurer keeps track of the dues, but they need to be able to communicate. Anything else you want to add to that, Debbie?
It's really not an oppressive job. It's just that right now I have so many things on my plate that I would like to pass one of the things I'm doing on to someone else.
So if you're good at keeping a spreadsheet, I think that's the easiest way to do it. And Debbie already has a system, and all you have to do is continue that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you're interested in that, you can contact Debbie or myself. And we also, Maria has taken on the responsibility of heading the retreat committee, and she would like some helpers on that. So this year we're kind of, because we haven't had the retreat for 2 years, we do have Cecilia Companchero lined up as the instructor. And the dates for the retreat are they're the third weekend in October. And the very first weekend starts with a Saturday on the 1st. So the third weekend is like the 14th, I think, or 15th, something like that. 14th, 15th, and 16th, I think, of October is the retreat. And we're kind of I'd like to actually get a feel for, how many people are into, whether we should have 20 people this year or have 40 people. That's the deal. That's the thing, because we've been away for 2 years, and our other instructor would be Beth Whiteside, and she's also very, very good. But whether we should have 2 or 1 instructor. If we have 1 instructor, we would have 20 attendees. If we have 2 instructors, we would have 40 attendees. And we really can't, unless you want to pay a lot more for the retreat, we can't really go like 30 attendees or 25 or 35. We need to, because if we divide the cost between 20 people, it's a reasonable cost. And when we add that second instructor, it doubles all of our fixed expenses and of transporting the instructor, paying their instructor fees and stuff like that. So we need to divide that amongst 20 people. So we go from 20 to 40. So this is not a commitment, but are you interested in attending the retreat? If you would raise your hand. Let me look at the other screen. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So it might be better, and I'll do this a poll too before I make a decision, or before the board makes a decision. We'll do a poll to see about how many before we make absolute decision on whether it's going to be 20 people or 40 people. Okay. Because we don't want to gear up for 40 and only have 35 attend. That's going to It just won't work. We have to, because the cost of the retreat do not come out of your guild dues. The guild dues do not go towards the guild retreat. The entire cost of the retreat is borne by the attendees. Because the guild dues have to be, the fee you pay for the guild, your $40, has to benefit you personally. So your $40 can't go to benefit the rest of the guild without benefiting you. So we do not use, we keep it completely separate. In fact, we consider it when you start paying your retreat deposits and the fee, we consider that as an escrow account. The guild just holds the funds for the retreat and makes one check to the instructors and to the retreat facility, rather than you, every single student, writing a check to the instructor and to the retreat facility. So it's just a holding facility to hold everybody's payments and make one check. But none of the retreat funds come out of the guild funds. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Hi,
Yes.
Suzanne. Yeah, I think I love to go to the retreat, even if I don't, I don't like follow up and do the kind of knitting that the presenters present. I think it's just such a wonderful experience in so many respects. And so 20 seems like a small number unless only 20 are interested in going. So I would give a couple opportunities, which is, maybe you've already said you would do that, but maybe an email asking for people to respond if they would be interested and what's at stake. In other words, if we have only 20 or if we go for 40, and because I'd hate to say have people not be able to have that experience if they just didn't speak up or that kind of thing.
Right, that's what I'll do, a poll. And when I do the poll, I'll send it out to the whole guild. And the thing is, you see, I suspect that many people don't open their email. I really suspect that. And there's really no other way for me to communicate with everybody, For example, I was rather surprised. Now, I did not ask for, well, actually I did ask for a response about people volunteering, but nobody volunteered. Nobody, not one single person. Not one out of the 80 some people that I sent the email to. So that's disheartening.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether people just aren't interested or whether they don't open their email. And I really suspect, because I know so many people in our guild are good-hearted. This is a good-hearted group of people. I suspect they just don't open their email. They're not, they probably don't even look at their email. There are some people that are not, stuck to their phone and their computer looking at, there are actually people who live without that, believe it or not.
So Suzanne, I always think your emails are priority. So I always read your emails.
And you respond, I appreciate that.
But I also have, it's like I know that, we're kind of at an open spot where we can maybe go back to meeting together. And, but I think COVID, personally, I don't know about everybody else, but personally, the whole experience over these past 2+ years has, kind of taken a toll psychologically, emotionally, socially. We are so disconnected. I'm just speaking personally, but I think other people may have had similar experiences. And one thing I've noticed about our guild, and I haven't been one to, raise my hand and jump in because I've been involved in other activities. But I've always noticed that at a guild meeting, especially when we meet in person, that it's like, oh, we need somebody to help with this. And, people just pop up and volunteer. And so you're not getting that response right now. But then it's been so long since we've had a regular guild meeting where we are together. And so I would say don't give up hope on that. But maybe we need to, before we decide that, oh my gosh, let's all just quit. I'm not saying anybody's saying that, but that, maybe we should go back to kind of meeting in person and feel our way through it. I don't know what your timeline is.
In order to meet in person, we need some helpers.
Okay,
See, we need people to help us transition from meeting via virtually to meeting in person. It's not something I can do all by myself. And I asked for volunteers and no one other than Hilda's husband and Jackie Ingstrom, and we need more than that, is
So-
willing to help.
so Suzanne, I could, I can't, well, at least I won't commit to an ongoing, yeah, I could do that. I'll take
It's a
that
one-time
responsibility.
thing. It's
But-
it's not an ongoing thing. It's a one-time, help us transition. The transition is a
So-
one-time thing.
So I think I could physically, I believe I have to look at my calendar again, but I'd be willing to show up and do some labor of some sort if that would be, if I could be of help in.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And that's really, it's just getting us back to in person. And like you say, it's just like when I went to Stitches, a group of us went to Stitches. It was so wonderful to see people.
Yeah.
You wanted to hug them all, although we didn't. I did hug a few people,
Yeah.
but it was, and I understand it's, to me, this is psychologically, and if we didn't have this Zoom thing going on and the social knitting Zoom, I would be very depressed,
Yeah.
We all need human interaction, whether we think we do or not, even introverts. And I am an introvert. You would not believe it, but I am seriously an introvert. The only place I'm extroverted is knitting. The rest of my life, I'm a big introvert. So even I need, I live in my house all by myself, which I absolutely love. And Kathy lives by herself. I'm sure she absolutely loves the serenity of her home, but we need human interaction to be healthy, to be mentally healthy. So anyway, when people watch this video, and usually there's quite a few people that watch it, so maybe some of those people will respond too.
Farida had her hand up.
I just wanted to say, if it's a one-time thing, I would definitely be willing to come up and help. I would have to drive up from Fresno, which isn't something I could commit to every month, especially with gas prices, but for help, obviously Zoom would be very important to me since I'm watching from Fresno, so I would love to help.
That would be awesome. So, and what I'd like is a person, and maybe one of the board members can head this up, because so we'll have to figure it out. But thank you, Farida, and thank you, Marion, and I'm adding you to my list. Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot because, this year in October will be our 10th anniversary for this guild, our 10th anniversary. And I really hope that it continues moving forward, and we've survived these 2 years so far. We've survived through some of the toughest times that any of us have lived through outside of war. And I think that we're a bunch of, we stick to it. So hopefully we get through this and get over the transition and get back to in person. That would be awesome. So let's see, we also need to talk about, so we talked about Worldwide Knit in Public Day, the retreat. Once we figure out whether we're going to have 20 or 40, we'll be sending out the message for you to sign up and how much it's going to cost. It'll be similar expenses to what we've had in the past. It's usually around $400, give or take $20 or $30 for the 3 days, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Retreat, and that includes your room and board and instructors fees, everything. It's a one-time payment. You don't have to pay anything extra, and it's well worth it. As Marion said, even if we didn't have an instructor, it's worth going. Just being with people and socializing and have a wonderful time in a relaxing environment away from town. So does anybody else have anything they want to bring up and talk about?
How much was that, Suzanne? I was just thinking about it. For the retreat, you still don't have the exact amount?
It's around $400. We do not have the exact amount for this year yet, but it's been in the past, it's been around $400 plus or minus. It might be $420, it might be $280. I mean, $380, that's for a double occupancy room. If you have a single occupancy room, it's about $100 more. Jackie, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to give everybody an update on the knitted knocker thing. The hospital decided not to do the one in April, and I can't remember if I've already told everybody that or not, but that we were going to have. So I need to post in your group to let everybody know who's already submitted knockers for the competition that it will be again in October.
Okay.
And from what we know now, it's going to be an in-person event, and so hopefully that doesn't change, and we'll be able to have the competition going and all that kind of good fun in October.
Yay. Slowly we're getting back to normal. Oh
And
my,
when we were at Stitches, sorry, my gardener's here. I'll be quiet. But when we were in at Stitches, I visited the Knitted Knockers booth, and they had nothing but good things to say about Jackie and all the work she's doing. And your nurse knocker was just front and center. Place.
Cool. Yeah, my knockers are international now. It's cool.
Marion, you have your hand up?
Yes, Suzanne, I'm going to be so bold as to ask if you could please tell us why in the world are you moving to Tennessee, where they have tornadoes and where you'll be so far, far away?
My whole family's moving there. We bought a piece of property and we're going to build a couple houses on it. And my daughter's going to be there and my son. And actually, my son's wife's, her oldest son's in-laws live there, and he lives there with his wife. My daughter's husband's mother and father are also moving there. It's a large group of us.
Wow.
And, I think and my son is orchestrating the whole thing. It's going to be cool.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes more sense. So I'll forgive you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll still be here. It'll look just like this, it'll be from Tennessee. So
you're going to drive your Tesla all the way across the country?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
It's going to be a caravan. We're trying to figure that out, is how we're going to get all the cars, because everybody has cars, and then our furniture, and it's a process. My son already sold his house in Texas. Their escrow closes the 28th of this month, and so they're going to move in actually here at my house with me. And I'm going to be putting my house up for sale towards the end of May. So will Sarah. So if you know anybody that wants to buy my house or Sarah's house, they're both lovely.
So anybody with a Tesla, that would be the perfect house to buy.
Exactly. That's part of the feature, but the car does not come with the house.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. So Charles should be coming on here soon. Let me see if he's on here yet. I don't see him. Okay. I'm on my laptop rather than my big computer, so I can't see everybody all at once. I have to scroll back and forth on the screen. Charles Gandy is going to be our speaker today. I think you're going to absolutely love him. Now, next Saturday, we're probably not going to have any show and tell this today because we've been doing all this talking. Next Saturday, the same Zoom link that you clicked on for today is our Social Knitting Saturday. Same time, 9 o'clock. And that's when we can share our knitting. Everybody can show their work. Actually, maybe just hold up if you have knitting that you're working on. This is my sweater that I'm working on. It's almost done. I just have to finish the cuffs.
Nice.
But
Oh, that's so cute.
it's coming along. It's all blocked. Jackie, what are you working on? That's gorgeous. It's a little top.
Yeah, it's a Vera Sanin top, knitted from the top down.
Yes.
And the yarn kind of looks a little metallic-y when you actually see it. It's really cool.
Is it from Anzula, the yarn?
No, it's Katia.
Don't you love Vera's designs?
Yes, yeah.
Patterns, and they fit so nicely. I just love hers. And
I'm happy to say I got my knitting mojo back.
Yay.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Does anybody else have anything they want to hold up? Oh, look at Beth. She's got a little chicken, and Debbie's got a sweater.
And let's see. This is a hat. Well, you can't see it.
Nice. A hat. cute. Look at Fatima's sock. It looks like it's with opal yarn. Yeah, that's that new opal yarn. Isn't that pretty? I love that yarn.
Yeah, it's the painting of Van Gogh stuff,
Yes,
all of them.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very
And I'm doing the other sock. It's funny because I do this on the normals, my pattern, a simple pattern, of course, that I learned with you. And this one, I'm doing the pattern in
the skew.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I did with that because I bought several balls of the same yarn, and it looks exactly the different way. The two.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Charlene, you were holding something up.
Oh, it's just I'm still working on my cocoa knit sweater using up yarn.
Yay.
So
Marie, are you having a hot flash there? Let's see. Let me go to my other screen, see if there's anybody else holding up. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. Oh, Francois, share your Franco sweater. I'm gonna make her big. It's just so unbelievably awesome.
Wow.
Let's see. Let me make you big.
wow.
Has Franco seen it? Francois?
She's muted.
Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Have you shown it to Franco?
No.
Oh my God, he's going to have a.
Let's see the bottom where you did the brioche. Let's see the brioche and show the cuffs how you did the. Yeah, so she did brioche instead of corrugated ribbing, but the cuffs were too big for her, so she did some decreases in the brioche. Isn't that beautiful? I love that.
Thank you, Suzanne.
So pretty.
I hope I will finish yet soon.
Yes, you're on the home stretch. Exactly. Yes. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Not after that.
Sure.
Francoise is the type of knitter you want to like sit next to her and wait for like her mojo to like rub off on your arm to give you a little something.
Yeah, you want to be in her aura. Yeah.
Every time she shows her work, when I tune in on like Tuesday, Thursday morning Zooms, I'm just sitting there like this sometimes, like.
Beth, what have you got going on there that you're knitting on? Oh, how cute is that?
Ooh. Zebra sock.
Oh. Now, did you knit your top?
Yeah.
The elongated.
This is
I love those.
I think it's called Cancun Boxy something or other. It's cotton. I think it's furry.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I did it so long ago.
It's a cute top. Very cute. Yeah. Good for summertime here. And you can do that in linen too.
Yeah.
It would be just as nice and drapey. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay, so let's see. I wonder if we covered all the topics. I think we did. So let's see what's going on. See if Charles is on here. There's going to be, there's going to be a drawing, an attendance drawing, as we usually do. It's going to be for a $25 Panera's gift card. So if you want to have your name in the drawing, go ahead and put your name over there in the chat, enter your name, and we'll do the drawing after Charles' presentation. I'll give you a minute to do that. Let me text Charles. Charles. I'll be closer to Charles, within driving distance of visiting.
Uh-oh, sounds like trouble to me.
We actually had, I texted him one day and I said, Charles, let's just knit together, So he got on and we sat and we talked for a couple hours and just sat there and knitted, zooming back and forth. It was fun. It was fun. Let's see. Okay. So let's see, how many people live outside of Bakersfield that are on here today? Brenda, Fatima, Charlene, Francoise, Andrea, Farida. Anybody else live outside of Bakersfield?
Brenda does.
Oh,
Brenda lives
Brenda.
in Pasadena.
Pam lives in Wasco.
And Lisa Spencer has her hand up.
And Lisa, yes, yay. And let me see. I think I see everybody right now. So that's like more than a third of us live out of town. Very cool. So Zoom is really important for our guild. It's important for us to continue with the Zoom. So that is why we need to make that transition. If we weren't going to be Zooming, it'd be super easy. We'd just go back to meeting in person. But we've got to figure out the speaker system, we're going to get the sound from the people that are Zooming. We need to get the sound to you and from you, and we need to also be able to see you, and you need to be able to see us. So that's the part that we need to work on. And I'm not an audio visual person. I think we have most of the components. We already have a projector. We do have a sound system, but I'm not a sound system person. I don't know the ins and outs of it. We need to, I think the guild is probably going to need to purchase an iPad for the Zooming part of it. And because up until now, we've used my iPad or somebody else's personal equipment. So the guild probably needs to actually purchase their own iPad or a laptop. I think an iPad would be easier. It doesn't have to have a lot of memory. It just needs to be able to connect to the internet, you know? So those are the things that's where I need help. Somebody who knows how those things play together, because I don't know. And we want to be successful.
My husband said it's too bad we're not there. That's kind of what he does. But Seattle's a bit of a drive.
It is. It is. Yeah. Now Hilda's husband, that's what he does too. So he has volunteered to help. But I think that we need more guild, it's nice to have somebody outside the guild help us as kind of a consultant type thing, but we need the guild people to understand how to use it once we set it up is the deal. Setting it up is great, but how are we going to set it up every guild meeting, take it down, what plugs into what, and what if it doesn't work, the troubleshooting and that kind of stuff. Because let me tell you, there's always something that's going to go wrong. Always. And so you have to be prepared for that. Charles said 5 minutes or so and he'll be ready. So I think he's projecting from his local yarn store, which is called Silver Threads and Golden Needles. It's in Clayton, Georgia. I've actually visited that yarn store before. And do you remember I made a brioche scarf that's really pretty. It's purple and gold. I bought that yarn from there. And one of the owners, both the owners have the same name. I think their first names are the same, but they're not related to, or their last names are the same, but they're not related to each other. Very nice ladies. One of them does personal dyeing for the shop, and I bought her yarn. So we're just killing time here. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about or share? Christy, what are you working on?
I got inspired when you guys said there was going to be stuffing monsters. So I have parts to stuff here soon. There's a body. This will be a hat.
Very cool.
And then there's little, little ears.
Very cool.
And it'll all kind of come together eventually.
Yep. I thought it was in this topic of stuffing is an interesting topic because do you understuff? Do you overstuff? You know, how do you move the stuffing around once it's inside? So I'm hoping that Charles addresses some of that stuff because I've stuffed things before and they don't always turn out in the shape that you want them because knitting is so stretchy. There's
Well, that's true, because I was gonna say, for example, here's something I've stuffed.
yeah.
So there's his ears,
Mm.
and I didn't stuff his arms, but I stuffed his hands. I
Cute.
didn't stuff his legs, but I stuffed his feet.
Very
But he doesn't sit right because however I binded him off.
You need to add those,
So
I can't remember the name, Christina, but I'll give it to you. I'll show you a picture. But you need to add kind of like,
I got some, I gotta get my glasses. Hold on.
Okay. Brenda, before Charles comes back, Brenda, you have your hand up?
I just want to say thank you to everybody, particularly in the book group, and Jackie for supporting me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in early February, and I had my surgery just over a week ago. It was incredibly successful, and they got everything, not in my lymph nodes. I'm a stage 1A. So thank you everyone for your support. I got private messages from people and emails and phone calls. Thank you so much.
Wow.
You're
Thank
welcome.
goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. So before we get Charles on, I want to tell you, I did make a long time ago a big stuffed teddy bear for Ireland when she was about a year old, and it was as big as her. And I wanted to weight it so it would sit down. So I put dried kidney beans in it. That is a mistake. Don't do that. Because guess what insects like to eat? Kidney beans.
Kidney beans.
Yes. And so they made holes in the knitting to get to those beans, you know? Okay, so we're going to turn, let me introduce Charles here. Many of you know him already, but I'm still going to introduce him. This is my dear friend, Charles, and I'm going to be living closer to him. So actually,
Yay! For me, sad for you.
yes. So Charles is, he is a master hand knitter. And that's how I met him through the Master Hand Knitting program. And we've been friends ever since. We just connected. And I am so happy that he is my friend. He's a fabulous, fabulous knitter, designer, and he thinks way outside the box, way outside the box. He's had 2 museum exhibitions of his work, 2 separate exhibitions, one for his socks, which were outstanding. And I don't know if any of you, I didn't get your book out, Charles. Do you have your book there to show? Do you have a copy of your book?
I do. Hold on.
He wrote a book on embellishing your knitting. And the title of it is about socks, and it shows a sock on the cover of the book, but really it's not a sock book. It's about embellishing your knitting. It just so happened that he used socks as the vehicle for the embellishments. And he won prizes on a couple of these socks, and these socks ended up being an exhibition at a museum. And then just recently, just in the last month or so, he had an exhibition at the museum in Atlanta, Georgia. There's his embellished sock, but it really, hindsight, it should have been embellish your knitting or something like that. It has all the techniques that he teaches about embellishing your knitting are on those socks. The exhibition that he just had at the museum in Atlanta, I almost got to see it because that's when we went to look at our property. But when I got into the airport was right when the museum was closing. So I didn't really get time because I was in the Atlanta airport, but the time didn't work out. But he did these, what do you call them?
Oh, the show is called Hidden Faces.
Yeah, Hidden Faces.
Subtitle Knitted Masks. So they were these forms that you. In fact, I have one here. If you keep on talking, I'll bring. I'm at the yarn shop today, so
okay.
Well, let me go get one if you want to see it.
Yes.
All right.
So isn't that amazing? Because he is an artist. He is, and he uses knitting as a sculpture. But he's also designed sweaters and hats and shawls and all kinds of other knitted items as well. But he thinks way outside the box. I'm one of those people that does things, you know, I think inside the box. He thinks outside the box. So we kind of complement each other. So he's in the back room at his shop there in Clayton. And right by the shop, I don't know if it's still open, but there's a place that repairs antique stoves. It's very, very cool. So if you have an antique stove, not, you know, not antique like made out of cast iron, but the Gaffers and Sattler and O'Keefe and Merritt's and those types of stoves, they repair them, which is good to know because they're very collectible at this point.
I'm back.
Okay.
Here is one of my hidden faces. You can see that they are what they say. They're hidden faces, knitted masks, and they're never to be worn. In fact, they're permanently mounted on this mannequin. But the mannequin gives, I did a kind of a negative ease to these. So the face is really kind of hidden in there. This is one of the simpler ones. I did 30 of these things. And a lot of them have all kinds of embellishments on them. You can go to the site of the gallery is called the Signature Contemporary Crafts Gallery. If you'll remind me, Suzanne, I'll email you that link and you can send it out to folks. So I think they still, the show is closed, but I think they may still have photographs of them up online. But anyway, that was fun. So, are you done introducing me?
Okay, so Charles is going to talk about, I'm getting a link to the shop right now. And I'll put that over.
Contemporary Crafts Gallery in Atlanta.
I'm going to put the link over in the chat, okay? Anyway, Charles is going to speak to us about stuffing, three-dimensional knitted projects. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm putting over in the chat, I'm putting the link, and please add your name if you want to be in the drawing after Charles finishes his talk. So I'm turning it over to you, Charles. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you guys for having me. You know, I love you folks in Bakersfield. I remember coming out a couple of times to see you, and who knows, maybe I can come again to one of your great events that you have. I'm sorry you're losing Suzanne, but she's going to be 4 hours from me, so I'm jumping up and down. And even though 4 hours is a long way, it's not quite, well, I guess it's about the same on an airplane, isn't it?
Right, and the John C. Campbell Folk School's between us.
Yes, exactly. So
we can meet there.
If you all don't know about the John C. Campbell Folk School, you need to know about that. Suzanne has been with me there. We took a class together, and then I teach there now. Maybe Suzanne can teach now that she's closer. It's a 100-year-old school, and they have 50 weeks a year. They teach 20 to 25 classes on craft. It's just the most wonderful place. People come from all over the world. So check that out too. John C. Campbell Folk School. Anyway, I'm so glad to be here and talk about, we titled this thing, I think, Stuff It. So, and that one person that had that one cute doll, I only have a few of you on my list, but who was that had there's Christy. Christy, that is so cute.
Thank you.
I might tell you a couple of things that you could do about making it sit.
Tell me.
And everybody can, want this to be real free, so you can interrupt anytime and every time as we're doing this. But first of all, don't stuff where you want anything to move. Don't put any stuffing there. Like in the legs, if you want it to sit down and you want those legs to fold over, make sure, right, it's like that top red stripe before the body. If there's any stuffing there, kind of squish it down so that there's no stuffing in there.
No, I didn't put stuffing here. I only put it here.
Oh, well, that's good. Then that should help you to make it sit. The other thing Suzanne was talking about, putting those beans in there. You can get some at the florist shop. You can get those little stone kind of beads or glass beads from the florist shop. and you can use those. But let me tell you, if you do that, make yourself a little muslin bag or something to put them in. Because if you don't, particularly if they're small, they'll have a tendency to seep out there. And I had a friend who had made a doll for her grandchild, and the thing was pooping all over the place with these beads. And so I did a little surgery. I cut it open, and we made a little muslin bag and put those beads in there. And then I Kitchener stitched it back together. She thought I was a genius, but that would help. You can also do the same thing with stones. You can get some flat river stones and put them in the bottoms of things, and that will help them to stand up. You can get washers from the hardware store, but make sure if you get washers, you get galvanized washers, because any moisture, of course, would rust it. So
Right.
I hope those are some ideas that will help you.
Could it be too how I seamed it?
What I would recommend, I don't know how you seamed it, and I'm going to talk about, I can't see there. I'm going to talk about.
Let me make it big for you, Charles, so you can see it.
Yeah. Okay, can you, well, let me show you what I do. Here's one of my dolls here this is what I call my basic mini monster thing. And I'm going to talk to you about different ways of treating these things. And what I do down here is I do a couple of things. I make a tube, first of all. I just make a tube, and then I come back and embellish that tube. The legs I pick up after the fact. And so what I do down here, and this is the worst example I could ever show you, but I do a couple of things down here. I'll either, number one, use a provisional cast on, and I'll cast on all those stitches with a provisional cast on, and then I knit my tube up, and then I can pick up stitches for the legs from that cast on, and then I can Kitchener stitch it together. You see, if I have live stitches there, I can Kitchener it together, and it's good. This one, what I did was, and I'm sure you all have seen this, and if not, I think Suzanne has a video on this, a horizontal to horizontal seam. Do you know that seam, Christy?
Mm-mm.
Well, you need to look it up. Suzanne, do you have a video on that?
Yep, I do.
It's a horizontal to horizontal seam, and our friend Chris Bilsma, I always refer to her when I talk about this seam. She calls it the martini seam. You know, if you've got a row of cast on stitches here, that's a V for your knitting here, and you've got a row of bind off stitches up here that's a V on your other side. If you'll put, this is a symptomatic way, but you put an olive in this first martini glass here, then you come up to the top and you go under the stem of that glass. Then you come back and you put a second martini in the thing. Anyway, I'm sure Suzanne's video will explain this better than I am now.
Okay.
What that will do is if you either use the Kitchener stitch, if you do provisional cast on, if you don't do provisional cast on, if you just do a regular cast on, then you can seam it together with that horizontal to horizontal seam.
And then it lays flat.
And then that thing you've got there will disappear, and that will do it. But also think about weighting it if that's something that's important, but just make sure, think through your weighting and don't have your doll pooping everywhere, because that's not
Yeah. That's why I've always thought it was just the seam part that made it the worst because of how I did it.
It's contributing to it for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, when you put them up against a wall or something, they'll pretty much do that. I love the arms on that. Did you make this up, or did you have a pattern?
Pattern, Rebecca Danger. She does a lot of she did monsters for a long period of time years ago. And she made a couple of monster books.
Well, I hope my comments here have helped you on that.
That does, actually. Thank you.
Everybody else feel like that was helpful or not? You know, I always start these things out talking about my Alabama grandma. She was a wonderful woman who had a lot of cookbooks in the kitchen, but she never used a cookbook she had a lot of cookbooks, but she never used them. And I said, why do you have all these cookbooks if you don't use them? And she says, well, I read them like novels. And if I get one idea or one concept out of the cookbook, then it's worth the price of the cookbook to me. So I always talk about these presentations that I hope you'll get one idea or one something that you go away with, and maybe it'll be worth your time to be here. So anyway, I think, Suzanne, did you send them that handout that I,
Yes, and
Yeah.
let me say one thing is that all these things that Charles is going to show and talk about are not specific to stuffed animals or stuffed monsters. They're skills that you can use on anything. He just uses these samples as vehicles for teaching you. Okay, so it's
Exactly.
not about knitting monsters or stuffed dolls or anything like that. It's about skills. Okay, there you go.
But I do like making these monsters. You know, I don't, all my friends that have babies and all that stuff, I'm not going to spend 2 months making them a baby blanket. I'm going to make them one of my toys, and they remember it more than they do that blanket, believe it or not. And, you know, they like it. Now, this is one time I'm going to tell you all, I'm the biggest yarn snob that there is. But this is one time that I do use acrylic yarns because, you know, moms and dads are going to have to throw these things in the wash machine, and they're going to have to have poop all over them and throw up all over them and all that stuff. So when I'm going to give a baby a doll, I don't mind getting the acrylic stuff and using it. I think you have to be smart in how you make your yarn choices. The handout that I had Suzanne send you, I'm teaching a guild. I'm actually physically at a guild meeting in a month or so, where we're going to do this. And I call this workshop Knitting by the Numbers, because what I want people to do is to just make a simple tube, be it long or short, and then take this little handout that I've done, which I must admit would never pass TKGA standards. It's an idea to get the thoughts across. But, you know, by making a tube of a different length or a different size, and then doing some of these techniques on there, you can just create your own critter. What am I trying to say?
Critter.
Yeah. I'm looking at all who's here. There are a lot of folks here, aren't there? So I'm strolling through here to see. You know, actually, I guess I need to be big for everybody to see, but I like it if I could see it. But what you might see here that I did was, I'm going to talk about these holy molys that I use so much. And I did 2 holy molys here in purple. There's a second one in there that's purple. And then I came back and embroidered on top of it to give it that kind of, you know, just looks like an African mask or something, doesn't it? And kids love this. And then I picked up some stitches down inside there, and I made a tongue that is twice the length of the tongue and folded it back over itself. And so it does that. I put a holy moly on the back too. Kids love these and I'll talk about my holy molys in a minute. Some of you seen me talk about them before, but these holy molys, these kids love these little butts. You know, they just have the best time playing with these things. But you can see here how I did this one. Oh, look, this is a nice pickup here underneath it. So I always start at the bottom. So I think I Kitchener stitched this together down here. So I must have done this with provisional cast on. So I Kitchenered the middle stitches together, and then I picked up the stitches to make the legs. And you know, when you pick up stitches like this, you always want to add a stitch or two in that gap to help close the gap. Again, these are just good general knitting techniques. So you can close that gap there. And then I just knitted down and then closed it off. So I made my arms however long I wanted them. And look, the ears on this one, the ears, I don't know whether they're ears or arms, but whatever they are, they're just a piece of knitting that I picked up stitches along this edge here, and I knitted a swatch out about, I don't know, 15 rows or so, and then I folded it back on top of itself to create this little flap that's either ears or arms or whatever you want them to be. You know, there's nobody that says you have to have ears and arms. Nobody says you have to have 2 eyes. You can have 3 eyes. You can have 1 eye. You can have whatever you want, just to give these things some character. This one, I did holy molys. I'm going to talk about the holy molys in a minute. I did a holy moly with where the orange is here for the eyes. Then I made I cast on 9 or 10 stitches and made a square that I cinched up all the way around all the edges and stuffed it to make a little ball. And I did it on the reverse stockinette side. And then I sewed that in there in the socket of the holy moly. And then I came back and embroidered some little X's on the top to give it a little eye. I could come back and put a little another little dot in there if I wanted to, but I think they make pretty good eyes, don't they? Then here is the mouth is the big holy moly that I've made it a long holy moly. And then I picked up stitches down inside there and just did some garter stitch for about 10 or 15 rows and tucked it back underneath there. This up here is of course I-cord, and I bought some cheap acrylic at the big box store that's in multicolors. And I have I-cord machines. Y'all know those I-cord machines? You can get them. Some of them are $25, some of them are $50. It's whatever you pay for, you get. I mean, get the more expensive one. Now, usually those I-cord machines, I'll give you a little hint here. Most of those I-cord machines come with a weighted clothespin. Have y'all seen them? You know what I'm talking about? They come with a weighted clothespin, and it will tell you that you need to use sport weight or DK weight or fingering weight yarn, that you cannot use worsted weight yarn. Well, this is proof that you can. And what you have to do is you have to put extra weights on it. So I have 2 or 3 of those machines. And so what I do is I just put 2 or 3 of those clothespins on there. Or if I don't have the clothespins, I'll go to the hardware store and get a bunch of washers that are heavy or nuts and bolts, and I'll make my own weight. And then I'll slowly at first get it started as an I-cord. And then if you're careful, you can use that worsted weight with it. So
this is one right here. Let me share this one. I'll show you what it looks like. And then Charles, you can
yeah, that's what I have. And you see that little clothespin is weighted. And I have 2 or 3 of these machines. So yeah. But what were you going to say? You can what?
You can, on your screen, go up to the top and put it on gallery view, and then you can see everybody. We'll still see you big. It doesn't change.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good.
So you can see the whole group.
Oh, good. So, and there are 2 pages of you. Gosh, there are a lot of you here this morning. I know a lot of you have your phones, your things muted. I wouldn't mind you turn them on so I can hear your questions or hear your laughs or whatever. So if you have questions, just reach out and ask me. Is this okay? The way I'm doing this, Suzanne?
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
else?
Yes.
All right. You know, if you get bored, I know you'll leave. So that's the good thing about Zoom. Hey, Alice, did you have a question?
I do, yes. I'm wondering if there might be a particular acrylic yarn that you sort of go to, or do you just do the big box? Doesn't really matter.
When I'm being a yarn snob, I'd say yes, but when I'm doing these, I just go to the big box and get whatever color looks good to me.
I see. Thank you.
You know, because these things, I want these kids to use these forever. Obviously you can tell I didn't make any written agenda here, but I just thought of something. When you make these things for your kids or grandkids, make a little repair kit to go along with it, and get a little plastic bag and say in there, Mom, Pop, you can put this in the washer, you can put this in the dryer, but by the way, here's some extra yarn of every color. So if something gets snagged or messed up, they can patch it. And even if they don't do a professional job of patching it, you know, they'll remember when Junior flushed it in the toilet or did whatever they did. And you can make don't you think that you can make a little card and a little kit to go with it of all the yarns and so forth to do it. It just makes it, I tell you what, they appreciate it more because they realize that it's handmade and that it could be damaged. So anyway, this one I didn't put a holy moly on the back. I always do a butt. I just put I just embroidered some yarn back there, but I tell you, every kid goes right there. I made 2 of these for Suzanne's granddaughters. They still have them, don't they, Suzanne?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Scarlett just absolutely, let me see. I'll see if I can find the picture of Scarlett with hers. It's so adorable.
Here's basically the same idea. I just made it a little shorter. This one's only about 6 inches by 6 inches. And up here, I made some little triangular ears to go onto it. And I think using the bright colors. Oh, and this one has a huge bulbous nose. You see that big nose, and all that was a tube that I knitted, and then I just decreased it down to nothing. So, and this one has a little embroidered butt on the back. So that's that one.
Charles.
Yes.
Charles, do you
It's Jackie.
Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Good, good. Do you make your pieces before you put the monsters together? You know, do you just, okay, I have a cone, I'm going to stick it right here? No?
I usually make the tube. I usually just make a tube of some kind, be it stripes or be it whatever I'm going to do. And then I look at it and I decide what kind of hair I'm going to put on it. Or I'll come back, and if I want to put, let me tell you this, if I want to put something like a tongue that I know may be pulled out, I like to plan for that. So if I'm knitting, say this one, I embroidered the mouth on this. You see, I just embroidered that with duplicate stitch. Does that show up okay? But if I had wanted to put a big long tongue that was sticking out of here, what I would do is I'd create a hole for that tongue, because you can sew that tongue in as much as you want, but some kids if you sew it in there, they're gonna rip it out. But if you do what I call a 3 needle attachment, you can knit that sucker in there. It'll never come out of there, you know? Now, some of these, like this one, I picked up stitches for that tongue down inside there. So picking up stitches is also a way of, you know, that's a good way of doing it. But you see, I do a lot of these big mouth things with that tongue. Alice?
You kind of broke up a little bit when you said the type of attachment you use for the 3D tongue.
It's what I call a 3 needle attachment. Have you ever done a 3 needle bind off?
Yes.
You know, where you have live stitches on 2 needles and you use a 3rd needle to use. Well, I do the same thing, but instead of binding it off, I just knit across. So I'll make the tongue separate, and then I will slip, the tongue is on one set of needles, and then I have the other needles are there. And so I'll knit from the front, I knit 2 together across the tongue and across the body of the work. And I just knit that all the way across. I don't bind anything off. And so by doing that, then that tongue is attached. It's what I call a 3 needle attachment. If you have my book, it's in there. Yeah. Now look at this one. In my handout I gave you, one of my hair techniques is to do a knitted in twist. And again, I have a video on this. You can look at Charles Gandy Knits on YouTube and look for knitted in twist. And you see this hair is in there. It's not coming out. I'm pulling on it. And this one, what I did was once I finished that, then I inverted it and I did a 3 needle bind off up here inside there. So getting all this hair inside to invert it to do that. Sometimes I just knit it on the right side and it just has a little extra scar or something on its head. You know, they're toys. Look at this one. What I also did down here, I think this is kind of fun. I rolled, and somebody asked about how do I plan it or what do I do? Sometimes I just let the critter tell me what to do. And in this case, I cast on this tube and that it started rolling up like a stockinette stitch does. You know how a stockinette stitch will roll up. So I just let it roll up. And then I didn't even hem it in place. Look, it's I thought I'd hemmed it in place, but that's fun. A kid can, you know, you could do this really long and then let it roll up like a bloomers or something. I don't know what. And then I picked up stitches around that and I just did a closure like you do at the top of a hat. You know how you start with 50 stitches, end up with 5. So that's got and then I picked up stitches after that and made these little legs. And then I decreased them and cinched them up. Now, one thing I've done many times is I got it all cinched up and thought, I didn't stuff that sucker. So I'd have legs flying everywhere. Now, let me talk about stuffing. When there is stuffing and then there's stuffing. And I went to the big box store, like a Walmart, and bought their polypropylene stuffing. It's $2 or $3 a bag, right? Well, it's okay. And most of these are stuffed with that. Well, one day I was on my way to a meeting or something, and I realized that I needed to do some stuffing, and I didn't have any stuffing. And I stopped at a Michael's on my way and went in, and Michael's didn't have the $3 stuffing. They had $8 stuffing. But I was in a bind because I had to have the stuffing. So I bought the $8 stuffing. Well, I'm here to tell you, I won't ever buy the $3 stuffing again. Again, you pay for what you get. The $8 stuffing at Michael's is better than the $3 stuffing at Walmart. Now, if you're in a pinch, use the Walmart stuff. But if you have your druthers, go to and I can't tell you what the difference is, but I think it doesn't have as many clumps in it, and I don't know, it just was a better grade of stuffing. And the difference of $8 and $3 isn't going to make or break either one of us. So I would suggest that you do that. Now, when you start to stuff things, and I think a lot of people don't form their things right by how they stuff. I use what I call whispers of stuffing. And it takes a long time, but instead of taking a big clump and pushing it up in there, I just take a little whisper of it. Uh-oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. Y'all hearing me okay or not?
You're fine. You're good.
Yep. So I take this whisper of stuff and I'll put it in there, and I will, with my fingers or with a knitting needle or something, I'll poke it in there where it needs to go. But it takes me a lot longer to do these things than you would think, but it's worth it, because that way this is even throughout, and I can manipulate it, and I can make it shape the way I want it to. Let me show you. I know that some of you have known about this wonderful book called Knitted.
Oh, that's a great book.
I know some of you have made these things. This is Knitted Animals, and Friends, Knitted Animal Friends. This book is by a woman from England named Louise Crowther, Crowther, and she has 13 dolls in here, animals, and they all have different clothes, and the bodies are all the same, and then you can change the clothes on them. We have a customer here at the yarn shop that has made all 13 of these things. Her grandkids live within 3 or 4 miles of each other. They have tea parties, and they all come with their doll, and they go home with different clothes because they switch and match them. What? Somebody?
Oh, that's just so sweet.
Look at this thing. This has a lot of stuffing to it. And this book is very detailed in its a lot of detail. Look at that. She uses a central double decrease down the nose here. She does intarsia to create these things here. But you can see how that head is really nicely stuffed and nicely shaped. But if you just took one big clump of stuffing and put it up in there, you would never do it. Look, she even has on little panties underneath here, and her feet with little pads on them. I mean, this, and she's coming out with a new book any minute now called 13. It's going to be wild animals. The ones she has here are foxes and pigs and dogs and that kind of thing. I think the new one's going to be bears and hippos and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But these are fun to make, and I made these all with Cascade Ultra Pima cotton. So again, this is a little, there's a lot of work in these. I'm not going to do these in the big box stuff because these are kind of heirloom things. Yes, ma'am. Alice?
When you're stuffing the animals, do you ever consider the compression of the stuffing, or is the $8 stuffing, does it keep its shape? I stuffed a bear and I thought, well, maybe I should stuff it a little bit more in case it like compresses.
Well, I do think the $8 stuff does better. And I think the whisper stuffing helps with that. Because again, just by building up layers of that stuffing will help. Here's another one of hers. This one is a ram. Isn't that cute? And see, the body is basically the same. The heads are all different, and her patterns are really wonderful. You knit this, she's got good things, but it's knitted.
How do you keep the head so stable on the body?
Well, hello, I cheated. And I was going to tell you about stuffing, but this one,
I see it.
Are y'all ready? This one has a knitting needle down the back of it. But having said that, I have learned, let's see, this one. Yeah, there's a stick in this one too. These are more heirloom kind of things. But what you can do, and what I have learned, I made a third one and I didn't put the stick in it because it was going to a child. What I now do is I really overstuff at the neck. You know, just pack that stuffing in at the neck, and that way it'll help to stabilize it. But you know, you can put a knitting needle down inside there and just tell mama that whenever they play with it, to pull that knitting needle out. But because they do get rather floppy if you don't. Well, this one, the needle is out, so that's not too bad, is it? But if I had stuffed it more, it would be better. But now I'm gonna stick him back down in here. We put them here in the shop, and they look good in there. Anyway, but look at these little booties she has on these things. Can you see?
Oh,
Little
sweet.
buttons, and aren't they cute? And see, they come right off. These are regular. See, I mean, look, little booties that go on.
Cute.
So if you're interested in fancy stuff and not doing your own, you can get her stuff. But let me just show you some more of mine. Look, this is just a simple one. This is just, I used some variegated yarn, and this is fingering wet yarn. I just made a tube, and then I made 2 holy molys, and then I did a little I-cord here for the tongue. Can you see that? That little I-cord is bent back on itself. And the legs and the hair here are just extensions.
So Charles, if you wanted the legs to be longer and you want
what, Suzanne?
If you wanted the legs to be longer and you wanted them to bend, then you just wouldn't put stuffing right where they're going to bend.
Right. Or I might even put like a purl row there so they could bend.
Mm-hmm.
And then even sew them together at the bend. You know, stuff below it and stuff above it.
Uh-huh.
But in that way it would keep the stuffing. Yeah, you could do that wherever you want it to bend. Just put a little, like your kneecap, just put a little ridge across there, or sew it together right there so that the front and back are sewn together. And then the legs would definitely move on that. Here, I've got a ton of them here. Here's another one with the I-cord hair. And again, what I did there was, this mouth is just a lot of 2 or 3 strands of yarn, and I embroidered the mouth on there. And then I did a same vertical butt thing on the back. But just the pink and the white's fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Just the stripes. Let me see what else I got. Here's another one. I like this. I like this twisted hair. And here, the nose is just a tube that I attached and stuffed a little bit on there. I have a friend, one of my followers is from South Africa, and she sent me pictures. She used this hair idea to make a lion. You know, it looks like a lion's mane, which is fun. Let me see what else. Here's another. I made a family of these. You see, here's one's longer than the other one, and look, his eyes are just oh, look, I also sometimes I'll tie knots in the end of the I-cords, which gives it a little thing. But you see, his eyes are nothing more than just balls that I've stuffed and cinched up, and then I did a little embroidery thing, and his nose, well, that's a little phallic, isn't it? Maybe I shouldn't show you that one. Here's the butt on this one, just a big holy moly. Now, the holy molys, and that handout I gave you, I talk about the holy molys, but the way I make those, and I borrowed this idea from the wonderful knitter in Sweden named Marie-Britt Christensen. If you want to have a wonderful book to inspires me, get this book. It's called Pop Knitting. I don't have a copy of it here, but Pop Knitting. It's by Marie-Britt Christensen. She's from Sweden, and this book is filled with all kinds of, it's like a stitch dictionary. It is filled with all kinds of colorful techniques. And I got these holy molys. That's my name, not hers. But what you do is you've got your knitted work, and I take 4 double point needles, and I pick up, and in that handout I sent you, there's pictures of this. I pick up the right leg of the stitches across the top, and then I skip down 4, 5, 6 rows, and I pick up the right leg of the stitches below with a double point. Then I come in and I pick up every other rung of the ladder. So I now have a square. Are y'all following me? I have a square on my knitted thing. Then I add a yarn, and I knit a tube out from that. And even though it starts out as a square, it ends up being this. I think I have well, I don't have a loose one here, but anyway, it ends up being this tube, and then you roll it over and tack it in place, and you create these wonderful, wonderful kind of things, and they can be open or closed. I knitted this one so that when I rolled it over, the reverse stockinette shows up. If I wanted it to be knit, I would have purled all those stitches so that when I roll it over, it would be knit side on that. So you have to use a little think ahead kind of stuff. Let me see what else I've got. It's just more of same. Look at this one. It's hair. This I just did same old holy molies, but I did 2 holy molies, one in red and one in gold for the eye, and then I made a green ball. But I think what makes this one fun is this hair. And all that is I picked up 5 or 6 stitches across the top of it and knitted these long tubes that come out for the hair. Isn't that kind of fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's that one. That's another hair thing. Here's one here. Now look what I did on this one. This has got the hair and I made a tube and I rolled it for the nose. See how it's rolled up, and it's got a long tongue. Sometimes I make fork tongues too. That kids love fork tongues and they love them real long. This one, the holy molies, down inside there, I did a white square of intarsia, and then I came back and did an eyeball that I embroidered in there. So I picked up I just made a square of white, and then picked up the holy moly around it, and then I embroidered a blue eyeball inside of that. Does that make sense?
That's great.
Is what I'm talking to y'all okay, or is this boring you to death?
Oh, no, this is exciting. I have a question about the holy molies. Are they ever stuffed, or are the holy molies something that are just rolled back and then do you secure them in place?
I do secure them around the base if I want to. Sometimes I leave them long because then it becomes this tube. But if I want to put them around the base, I can. And I usually stitch them around the base. And as far as stuffing them, I've never stuffed them because they kind of stuff themselves. But if you were to make a really big one, or make the tube really long, then you could stuff it. There's no reason you couldn't stuff it. And that might be wonderful to do a great big, huge mouth that goes all the way across the whole thing. You know, wouldn't that be fun? Just one big mouth and no eyes and nothing.
You can put monster teeth in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Well, exactly. Look at this one. This one, and in my handout, I talk about how to make eyes. You see here, this eye is just stockinette stitch that I cast on about 30 or 40 stitches. And then I knitted 5 or 6 rows, and then I purled a row in a different color. And then I knitted 5 or 6 more rows, sewed it together, and then just spiraled it up. And you see, I left it dangling there. So I think that's kind of a neat little eyeball, isn't it?
That's cool.
And the nose, look, the nose is nothing more on this one than the same thing where I knitted 4 or 5 rows of stockinette, and then I changed colors and I folded it back over and sewed it together. So that's the nose on this. I just have fun with these things. You know, there's nobody's judging you about this, and the more fun you have with it, the better. What I do for the mouth. Oh, I did the mouth one. This one's I've done a long time ago. This mouth I did short rows. So you see here, I made that mouth, I planned ahead, and I did a bunch of short rows in there like you're making a heel of a sock. So I basically put a heel of a sock in the middle of the face of this thing. And then when I stuffed it, it creates this funky little mouth down there. That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
I do say so. All right, let's see what else. Here's one I haven't finished, but this one's got some ram's ears or something happening here. See how I just knitted 2 long tubes out of the top, and I changed the colors, and then I rolled them over on themselves and sewed them into place. So this one still has to be something else done to it, or maybe I just leave it like that. It's no face. Oh, sometimes I'll put legs on them. This one is like a little fox, or I mean, not a fox. It's a funky goat or something. Anyway, let me see what else I've got in here that's different. Oh, sometimes I make sock puppets.
Nice.
This is a sock. It's basically a sock. And then I have embellished that sock. And so the heel becomes the nose and the mouth. You see, I can, isn't that fun?
Wow.
So that's a sock puppet. And it's nothing more than a regular sock that I have then come back and put some hair and a tongue into it to, but if you were to stripe this or do something like that, he's pretty cool, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, you could have a whole, I've also done mittens like this for kids. Nothing better than making a pair of mittens for a child and then embellishing those mittens on the front face. Now, you don't want to do it in the hand where their palm's going to be, but you know, if this was a mitten and you put all that stuff on the front of the mitten, think how much fun they could have with that. Let me see what else I've got in my, look at this one. This one got nuts. I haven't seen some of these. I keep this one. You see, I have long dreadlocks on this one, and it's just nothing more than a striped tube. I mean, this was big box store yarn that knitted this way. So I just knitted this tube in those colors the way they came off. Then I made some holy moly eyes for it, and then I just made this huge amount of dreadlock hair on there. Tell me what kid wouldn't love this. So that was easy to do. Easy. Let me see what else I've got here. Here's another one. I think this is another sock puppet that I put a skirt on him or her. You see here the head, then down around the bottom, it's got the skirt.
Looks
So
like a
that's the-
spider.
Yeah. Oh, look at this cute one. I've forgotten this. I ought to put this up in the store. This is Easter time. Little bunny. And then look back here. He's got a big pom-pom for his tail. And what I did here, the whiskers, I do this thing. You can go on my videos again and look for this. I do a thing called a finger cord. And it's a braid that you make with your fingers. I have a good video on it. I can't explain it here, but this right here, I embroidered that nose there, but then these whiskers are that finger cord. The finger cord is you could use I cord, but the finger cord is a much tighter, firmer cord. And it's really good for things like this, but that's kind of cute, isn't it? And then I embroidered the eyes on this one in that shape, they're just embroidered after the fact. And I do all that embroidery and all that stuff before I stuff it. Most of it. Sometimes I'll stuff it and then realize I need something, but it's much easier to do it. And I told you I'm a yarn snob. I'm also a knot snob. I don't normally tie knots in anything, but in these animals, I give myself permission to tie knots because I want to make sure that these kids don't tear these things up. So, so if I'm embroidering something, I'll bring both yarns to the back and I will knot them so they don't come out.
Charles, can I ask a question? I want to ask the question. So when you're knitting these, you knit them tighter than you would normally knit, right? So that when you stuff them.
Thank you, Suzanne. Absolutely, much tighter because you don't want the stuffing to come out. So go down 2 or 3 needle sizes, make a little swatch and see what the gauge is. But the tighter you make it, the better, the longer the animal's going to last or the critter's going to last. Good point. Thank you. Let me see what else. And then I want to go over. This one may not show up. I've done 400 of these things. These are little finger puppets. Have y'all seen my finger puppets?
Oh, yeah, I love the finger puppets.
Did I ever send you one, Suzanne?
Yes, I have 3 or 4 of them. I love them.
Yeah, well, I can't, this one, my fingers must have gotten fat, but.
They're so cute.
I have 400 of them and every one of them's different. And I save every little scrap of yarn that I have. So I use these finger puppets. You see, even that's got holy molies on it. Look at the nose on it. It's just a triangle that I sewed in half. They're fun. I'm seeing there's some chats down here. Are those questions for me in this chat or not?
No.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right, let me see. All right, now I want to go over some of these. I want to explain some of these techniques a little more carefully. If you didn't understand them, let me look at my handout here. I don't know if y'all printed that out or not, but those rolled eyes. Here's a couple of eyes where I rolled them and I knit them in different colors just to show you, and then I shaped them. And one thing you want to make sure you do on that is when you're sewing them on here, eyebrows go in different directions, or maybe they don't, but you know, you want to roll them in different directions so that when you attach them, they look the same. But you can see this one, this is just some yellow. And then after the fact, I came in and did a little embroidery in the middle of it. And this one is nothing more than yellow knitted. And then on the edge, halfway through, I purled an edge in purple and then rolled it over and sewed it together. And so at the base, it kind of makes like a rosebud kind of thing there. So, and you can see the back of these. I really knot them. I mean, they're in there, but I want to make sure that they're in there good. Then this is a nose idea. I just took a piece of, just did some garter stitch and I let it fold on itself. So if that were a nose, you see it can kind of stand there. And down here, that's just simply duplicate stitch. You can do a lot with duplicate stitch to create eyes. See that mouth is nothing more than duplicate stitch. I also have some eyes here. Look at this. These are two different eyes. This one over here, this is total, that blue, that purple and blue and the little white there, that is all duplicate stitch, where I made that eyeball with duplicate stitch. And then I used my finger cords on that one to make eyelashes. Isn't that cute? Eyelashes. And then this one over here, I duplicate stitched. This eye, I duplicate stitched, and then I made an eyebrow out of that knitting and turning it over. And then the mouth down here is duplicate stitch, and I shaped it into lips. The other day I was making one, and I was at an all men's retreat, and I was working on these things, and I had almost finished this one, and some guy said, you need to put a beauty mark on there. So I got a bright purple or something, and I did one little duplicate stitch just right there, like Jane Mansfield would have or something. And it just totally changed the whole look of what the thing was about. Look at this. I made eyes with pom-poms. And you see this one, the eyeball was a little big, so I made a second one. And the way you do that, it's in the handout too. You know, if you use a pom-pom maker, then you can just wrap the pom-pom maker with different yarns at different places, and you can create all kinds of wonderful shapes and forms. There's a wonderful Japanese woman. If you really are interested in pom-poms, you can go crazy with this woman from Japan. Just type in Google Japanese pom-pom. Japanese pom-pom, I think that is. And this woman makes pandas, and she makes foxes, and she makes all kinds of stuff with nothing but pom-poms. So check that out, because they're wonderful. But I think pom-poms are a great way to do that. Let me see what else I've got here. So this I did hair, and these are eye cords. But what I did on the ends of the eye cords is I did a wrapping technique. And I don't have a video.
If you struggle to lose weight, you must seek.
What is that?
I was looking for the pom-pom book. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, if you don't find it, let me know and I'll send you a link to it. But see, aren't these fun? And I just did that wrapping on the edge with different colors just to give it some, so that would make nice hair. And that's why it would hang, you know, that's fun. Let me see what I've got in my bag.
Charles, with the wrapping of the ends
yes.
of those, with the wrapping of the ends, how do you secure the end of the yarn so it
All right.
doesn't?
Let me see if I can explain this, and I really need to do a video on it, but I'm not like Suzanne. I have a hard time doing these videos, but let me see if I can explain. If this is my eye cord here, I take a piece of waste yarn that's nice and strong, like a piece of cotton or something, and I make a loop with that cotton. And I lay that loop on top of my finger cord. Then I take the yarn I'm going to wrap with, and I start down at the open ends of that loop are over here, right? I start down at the open ends and I lay the yarn I'm going to wrap with, and I wrap it on itself. So I wrap it on itself, and I'm going back up toward that loop. Are you following me? And I'm being very careful about wrapping it and keeping them in line. Then I cut my yarn that I'm wrapping with, and I put it inside that loop. And remember, the two open ends are down here. So then I gently but firmly pull that loop out. And that brings that last thing tucked on itself. So you've wrapped the first yarn on itself in the beginning. And this, you use that loop to pull it back out, and it pulls itself on there. Then I use manicure scissors that are curved. You know how those manicure scissors are curved? And I will pull on that loop and put the curved part up against the thing so that when I clip it, it kind of goes back up inside there. Did I explain that to any degree of successfulness? You think you could do it? It's a great technique. So, and here again is another form of those twists. If you have never done these twists, they're fun. Kat Bourdie, the late Kat Bourdie, did a hat called the anemone hat. And she told me that Auntie Modisette, who's also longer with us, Auntie Modisette taught her how to do these. And so I put them in the book. I have a sock in the book that has these twists all over it. But I have a good video on this, and they're fun to do these twists. I just did I've been very busy. I've designed 4 new patterns in the last 4 weeks. And I just did a scarf called the HBC scarf, which is based on the Hudson Bay blankets.
Right.
And I put 8-inch long twist at the ends of that scarf to give it a beautiful knitted in fringe. So you can use these twists for any kind of thing. Here's another example of that hair business where you do the tubes. And one little hint here, I'm sure you all know this, but if you're doing in 2 colors, you can do a jogless join if you're working in the round. There are lots of ways of doing jogless joins, but that way they don't have that thing. And the way I do it is I knit the first row in the new color, and then the first stitch of the second row, I just slip it.
That's what I do.
That way it pulls it up, and you have continuous circles there. But that's a fun thing to be. That could be legs. Wouldn't that be fun to have a five-legged critter? You also, when you're picking up these stitches, you may pick up 5 stitches on the front and 5 stitches on the back. Then I always pick up a couple of extra stitches in these gaps. If you've ever made mittens, sometimes you'll pick up stitches in that thumb gusset. And so I pick up stitches in between these things to help fill in that the holes there. What else? So here we go. I'm teaching this class. I have all these samples. This is multicolored yarn that's just done for hair or for. You could do the whole body in this. Wouldn't that be fun to just cover the whole body in these? Now to hand knit all this I-cord stuff you'd go nuts. So get you one of those machines because they're worth every penny of it. Let's see what else. That's pretty much the samples that I have. What kind of questions have I generated?
Let's open the floor up. Anybody can ask questions.
How about just a comment? Charles, I love your work.
Thank you. Who is that?
Nancy.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Well, I have a good time. Y'all go check out mine on Ravelry. I just posted a new cowl today that I'm really happy about. I call it the Stripes and Blocks, or Blocks and Stripes cowl. And I did a pair of socks years ago for cast on, and I've adapted that. It's garter stitch in tarsia. And if I do say so myself, it looks really pretty. Check that out. I just posted that about an hour ago.
Let me look. I'm going to see if I can find it. I'll share it if I can find it. Okay.
It's Blocks and Stripes cowl.
I'll find your Ravelry page and share it.
I know, Charles, I had knitted a hat that was multicolored and very pretty, but I needed to do something on top. So instead of doing a pom-pom, I took my leftover yarn, and you inspired me to do little like loopy hair.
Oh, cool.
On the top of my hat. So
I bet it was cute, wasn't it?
And it turned out really cute.
You know, one thing I didn't put in here, and I need to add that before I go to South Carolina to do this thing, are curlicues. Do y'all know how to make a curlicue? Because you could fill the top of that hat with curlicues too. The way you make a curlicue is you cast on 30, 40, 50 stitches, however many you want to cast on. And in the very first row, you knit in the front and back of every stitch. So if you cast on 50 stitches, you'll have 100 stitches, right?
Right.
Then the next row, bind those 100 stitches off. And what it does is it makes this cute little curlicue. And you can do them in different lengths, you know, cast on 30 stitches, cast on 40 stitches, cast on 50 stitches, do it in multicolored yarn, and you'll have these wonderful, I use that a lot for put on. Then you have to sew them into place.
Right.
You know, but they're wonderful little curlicues. So do you find it, Suzanne?
Yes, let me share. So here is the blocks and stripes cowl that he was talking about that he just put up. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, it looks good, I think.
Yeah.
That's the yarn store where he is right now.
Yeah. Great yarn store, silver threads and golden needles. We have an online presence. Go buy yarn from us.
And
So I'll
here's
have a
my,
call.
I really like this one because I actually own a Hudson Bay blanket, wool blanket.
That's the one with the fringe. Show that one at the bottom with the fringe on it if you can, up closer. See the fringe? That fringe is knitted in, those twists like I just showed you.
I love that. That's so classic. So classic. I love my Hudson Bay blanket. Mine's really old. This is another.
I love this AHA
one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I love that. That's 3 skeins of finger weight yarn.
Ew.
And isn't it pretty?
Very nice.
Look at that perfect knitting.
Oh, his knitting is gorgeous, let me tell you.
Yes.
Well, you know, I had a birthday last Sunday. Yo, I've been knitting for 69 years. My knitting ought to be pretty good, shouldn't it?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Line by line shawl. That's just simple garter
Great
stitching.
stash buster. A great stash buster.
Yeah, and then my Himalaya. I love the Himalaya.
Yes, this is so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous?
That is pretty.
That's 2 skeins of finger weight yarn. Yeah.
Look at that. The difference between solid and yarn overs makes that. I can see that in all kinds of yarns.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Some more.
And I've had a great success
The
with that.
holy moly stocking.
Oh, that's a stocking. Yeah, look at that.
There you go, Jackie. Jackie,
Christmas stocking.
What?
for your daughter's new boyfriend, his Christmas stocking.
He's a highway patrolman. I don't think that. I don't think so.
He might like it. These. Oh, look at these next things. These are wine bottle toppers.
Oh, cute.
You know, take a bottle of wine to your friends. And what I did was I hollowed out a styrofoam ball and put glue inside to keep the styrofoam from coming all out. But aren't they cute?
They're adorable.
They're wine toppers, wine bottle toppers. So I've been busy.
Oh, there's Christmas
Wine
stocking.
sack.
Yeah.
Cute.
Wine sacks. Yeah, that's just, you know, to take a bottle of wine to folks. And there's the twist there with a bead in the end of it. See how that has a little bead in the end of it? And then I did yarn overs across there to weave the I-cord through it so you can cinch it up. Oh, look at the wreath top down here. Those are just ornaments there that just.
Okay, you want me to skip those? Okay, let me go down.
Go down to the wreath bottle topper. This was another one, down right there, that one.
This one here?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah.
That is nothing more than those twists done 3 or 4 rows with beads on the end, and then it becomes a bottle decoration for you getting a bottle of wine to somebody. And you can also use this as a base of a candle if you wanted to. You know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
candle at Christmas time. So.
Oh, I like
anyway.
this. It's very classy looking. Look at this.
Oh.
Oh, and there's a Ruth Bader Ginsburg tribute in there down below. There's Ruth Bader Ginsburg's tribute.
Classy.
Very cute.
They fun. And then show them one more there, my poncho. I love the poncho.
Yeah.
I used this was knitted side by side, and I used some techniques out of Marie Christian Marie Britt Christensen's book. These, you see that gold and white in the middle back there? Go back one picture, Suzanne.
Right here?
Yeah, you see down on the sleeve part of it, there's a gold and white. The blue right there, down a little bit lower and over to the left.
Right here?
Yeah, yeah. You see that? That's a very interesting little technique, and you could put that on your critters or anything. But I knitted 4 or 5 rows of the light blue. Then I bound off 1 stitch in, I knitted 1 stitch in white and knitted 1 stitch in gold and bound it off, and did that all the way across to create that kind of Latvian braid, simulated Latvian braid. Then I came back on the very next row and picked up the blue pearl bumps and started knitting again with blue.
Is that what you did here also?
Yeah, that's what I did there too.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I did an exposed 3 needle bind off. That on the shoulder is an exposed 3 needle bind off.
Right here.
Right there. Yeah.
Yes.
So that you get a ridge across there, and it's
right. It folds.
It's intentional. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That is cool. Great stash buster.
Oh, I did a panda hat and a panda sweater. Anyway, you can see I think I've got 3 or 4 pages worth of.
I like these shawls.
Oh yeah.
It's in cast on, right? You put this in cast on?
No, it's just that one's only been here. That's Connie yarn, but I love that shawl. I wear it a lot, and that one in cast on shaded line. Oh, and look at my tabby toed socks. I love those.
Well, let me go back to those. I saw them.
Yeah, aren't they? I love flip flops, but my feet get cold. So y'all know it snowed here in Georgia this morning.
Yes, it snowed where my property is in Tennessee today too.
Wow.
Just light flurries. Did you have a lot of snow or a little bit?
No. Just
flurries.
Yeah, well, nothing sticking because
I love these socks.
Oh, those were on the cover of Cast On, and those are my berry basket socks, and they're little baubles along there. I love those socks.
Yes, I love those too.
Yeah. Well, I hope I've helped you all in it. Oh, look at now this next one there.
I closed it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, there was one I called Once Around the Ankle, and I love that one because I cast on provisionally 15 stitches, and I knitted a cable that went horizontally, and then I I Kitchenered it together. Then I picked up stitches and knitted the sock up, and I picked up stitches and knitted the sock down. So you look at these simple little socks and you think, well, what's the big deal? Then you think, wait a minute, that cable's going in the wrong direction. So that's how I did it. Well, I hope that I have done for you what we were hoping to do today. And
that was fun.
Inspired you to do some crazy things. You know, you can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you call it something bad. I used to work for a very famous chef and teaching cooking, and I've done all kinds of stuff in my life. And Natalie taught me that you never make a mistake in the kitchen. You just change the name. If you're planning on serving lemon souffle and it falls, pick it up and put it in martini glasses and call it lemon surprise. You know? So the same thing is with your knitting, particularly on these crazy critters. You can just make your own deal on it, and nobody's going to know the difference, are they? So they'll think you're a genius. So thank you all for coming. You have a wonderful guild, and I'm jealous of that.
Oh,
thank you for being with us today, Charles. We always love having you.
It was great fun. I'd love to come back sometime. And Suzanne, as soon as you get moved, let me know, and we'll meet halfway or something.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Love you.
bye. Bye, Charles.
So that was fun, huh?
Oh yeah.
His work
Guys
is
like that?
just gorgeous. I love what he does.
Yes.
Wow.
And good stash busting too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You save all those little bits and pieces and they turn into holy molies.
I love it when he goes, I put a butt on all of them.
Well, you know how little kids are. They like to feel things. Everything's tactile, you know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was wondering what I was going to do with all those little scraps of yarn I was saving. So that makes perfect sense.
There you go.
Well, you know, not just for children, but for people who are demented, you know, and have people, the older people that like to feel things. These are perfect things that you could use, those little twists and the strings and the I-cords and the embroidered, the little textured things. All of that is great. What do
Oh,
you?
yeah, that would be great for demented, senile and people with dementia that are in rooms by themselves. They could have their own little monster.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
But there's a name for them.
They're fiddlers or what are they called?
Something like that. They're really cool. This would be great for that.
Yes.
I am, that's my profession, is helping place people into appropriate living conditions and in the care homes, as well as in the facilities, as well as memory care. My point to that is if you have some you would like to donate and route them to me, I can get them to the people.
Oh, thank you, Judy. That's awesome. Yes. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or add or suggest or anything?
Uh-oh,
Judy. Oh, Judy, she's got to do the drawing. Thank you, Judy. Let me
Okay, we're gonna have, actually, well, today we're gonna do $25 at Panera's. But we're also gonna have a contest for the month of May. So this is how it's gonna work. And it can apply whether you live here or not. Beside our regular raffle, we're gonna have where you will get to participate with an extra entrance into the spin of the wheel. And all you have to do is attend 2 outside guild events, which would be come to Panera's on a Monday or Friday when we meet at 11 o'clock, or you could attend the book club, which is a Zoom event, twice during the month of May. So, and then you'll get to be part, your name will go in as an extra spin. With an extra spin, you'll have a double chance to win on it'd be the June raffle. So during the month of May, try and participate twice during the month, can be any time during the month, either through Zoom on the book club or come to Panera's on Monday and or Friday at 11 o'clock.
And what about Zoom on Tuesday and Thursday for social?
Oh,
Zoom.
I'm sorry. Yes. And Zoom on Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock for social knitting. Those also
or
qualify.
the Saturday social knitting.
And Saturday, well, we're trying to do outside events. So that's sort of a regular event. So we're going to do outside events.
Yes. So we're trying to get people to participate.
Yeah. So it's Monday and Friday at Panera's in person, Wednesday at the book club through Zoom, or Tuesday and Thursday, 9 o'clock Zoom. Those all qualify. All you have to do is do 2 of any of those events during the month of May. All right. But right now we're just going to do a regular
and you have to get your name
Panera's.
stamped.
Pardon? It's a virtual hand stamp. Okay, so right now we're just doing $25 at Panera's. So if you are interested in participating in that raffle, put your first and your last name in the chat.
Amanda said the feely things for the dementia clients is twiddle mitts.
Twiddle knit. That's cute.
You could even do them as a wristlet, something they slide over their wrists that they can. While Judy's waiting to put your names in there, while she's doing that, while we're waiting, I heard a story one time. I don't remember, it was something I read somewhere many, many years about a lady, and her mother was a knitter, and her mother had become demented and, was very elderly, but wanted to continue her knitting. And every evening the daughter would rip the knitting out and cast it back on, and the next day the lady would knit it. And then in the evening, because she didn't make anything, it just kept her hands busy. But I thought that was the coolest thing, so cool.
Okay, I'm only seeing one name in the chat.
Oh, you might, I don't know. There's lots of names in the chat.
Okay, I don't know why I'm not seeing them.
Okay, let me read them to you. Ready?
Okay.
Christina Hildebrand,
Okay. Got it.
Jackie Ingstrom,
Oh, yeah.
Marion Vargas, Francoise, Debbie Newland, Hilda,
Oh, yeah, mine's not in there anymore.
Fatima, Judy Snyder,
Wait, after Hilda, what was after Hilda? I'm sorry.
Fatima, Judy Snyder, Farida, Pam Newfeld, Beth Arner, Teresa Parmalee, Vicky Berquist, Maria Utt, Kathy Henry.
Hang on one second. After Vicky, who was after Vicky?
Maria Utt, Kathy Henry, Alice Carroll, Jackie R, Amanda Swanson, Nancy Russo, Sabrina James, and that's everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna read them off so we don't have any problems, and then just let me know. I have Sabrina, Christine, Jackie E, Marion, Francois, Debbie Newland, Hilda, Fatima, Judy Snyder, Farida, Pam, Beth, Teresa, Vicky, Maria, Kathy Henry, Alice Carroll, Jackie R, Amanda, Nancy Russo, Sabrina James. Did I miss anybody? Speak now. Are we good?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let me move my screen over here and then I can share it. You guys see it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, here we go. Okay, looks like Jackie Rickles.
Yay, Jackie.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yay.
Lunch is on Jackie on Monday.
There you go.
Coffee's all around.
Okay, so don't forget our contest now. So let me unshare my screen. Okay, so Monday at 11, Tuesday at 9, Wednesday, Amanda, what time is book club?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Thursday at 9 in the morning, Friday at 11. You got tons of ways to participate, just 2 times during the month of May. And I'll send out a reminder email when it gets closer to the end of the month. And then you'll get to double put your name in June for the spin.
And it's the honor system. We trust you.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to let me know. Yeah, it's totally the honor system.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not gonna take roll.
You mean you're
No,
not
but-
gonna track everyone?
No, I maybe I'll photograph everybody.
She has a spreadsheet. She has a spreadsheet and she
Yeah.
checked you off.
It'll be a virtual spreadsheet that somehow I'm gonna know. But no, so anyway, hopefully you'll join for some extra activities.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything else they want to add or say?
How's your grandbaby?
What?
How's your grandbaby, Joyce?
Yeah,
Judy?
Judy.
Mine, he's getting big.
Good.
He started
Thank you for
out,
asking.
he started out big.
Yeah, he's bigger now.
And that's a good thing. That's normal.
Mhm.
So Suzanne, this is Pam. I did not get Charles' handout.
I sent it to the entire guild.
Yeah.
It was in,
Pam, I removed your name first.
I thought so.
it was in the reminder Suzanne sent out yesterday.
Last
Okay,
night. I
I'll
sent
go
it out
looking for it.
Yesterday evening.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
it's an
you.
attachment. It's an attachment.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'll print it for you, Pam.
Oh, okay.
Anything else? It's so good to see you all. Thank you for being here. You know, the guild is here because of you all.
Mhm.
It takes all of us to participate. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful weekend and have a lovely week this coming week and a happy Easter for those who celebrate it. And we'll see you next time, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.